Like, I remember halfway through the show, he stopped playing music and he was just like messing around and like basically was telling the crowd like proper blowjob etiquette. And like I was 12 or 13 at the time, and it was the coolest thing I'd ever heard, like in my life.
Well, he walked up to me after my set, and he's like, "Soon you'll be at the point in your career where you'll write songs about shitting yourself." And I was like, "Okay."
Hello, people of the world. We're back again with another episode of Sam Sessions. Today's going to be a lot of fun. To my right, we have Calder Allen, good friend of the shop, a local awesome musician who's killing it on big stages all over the place, hosted by the world's worst interviewer. Calder, how you doing today?
Pretty good, how are you?
Doing good, man. Doing good. So how long have you been coming into the shop?
Well, I only started doing music recently, so I mean, really since COVID started.
Okay.
That's kind of when I've been coming in here and
Yeah.
stuff and checking it out.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so when the COVID lockdowns hit, that's kind of when you buckled down and you started working on your debut album. Is that right?
Yeah, that's when I started writing songs, and I had, some stuff written down prior to the pandemic, just like, poems I've written and stuff, and I kind of put them to music over the pandemic, but that's how the whole thing kind of started, is just, learning the guitar and kind of practicing more and just having a bunch of time to do so.
So you didn't just start playing guitar back in 2020, right? Like you played before that too.
Yeah, I played before the pandemic. I knew like just a bunch of chords and stuff. And
I see.
But after I learned on YouTube, so I would just watch YouTube videos and then learn a cover song and then kind of just never play the cover song again and kind of find my own arrangement of like chord progressions and stuff, and that's kind of like just what I like to do. But pandemic hit, I had a bunch of free time, so it just kind of progressed.
So how old are you now?
19.
19. So first of all, this is the youngest guest we've ever had in here. So you got the first on that. That's pretty sweet. At 19, you've done ACL stages, Continental Club, which is an iconic spot in Austin. You opened up at Lollapalooza. Yeah, like what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like how did these things come about? I mean, I guess we'll take them one at a time. What was the first? Did you play Continental? Was that kind of the first big show that you got to do?
So the Continental was the first big show I ever did. And that was, I think, my third or fourth gig, because I did some solo acoustic stuff at Sam's Town Point.
Okay.
Those were like my first actual gigs, so
Yeah.
I was like, testing out, how to work stuff. And I mean, the whole playing live thing was really kind of a eye opener for me, because I didn't really know what was going on. I didn't know the differences and how technical things were, and even like tuning like a guitar, I was like, man, I didn't realize how out of tune I always was, just like playing at home. I'm like, oh god.
And you figured this out like as you're playing live shows?
Yeah, well, I was like,
that's bizarre.
We were practicing for ACL, and I didn't even have a 9-volt battery for my like Boss tuner. And I just remember, like, everyone in the room was just like, what the fuck is going on? I was like, but it was like, but yeah, no, it's like, it's been crazy just learning how everything works and stuff, and kind of, but it's awesome because, I'm fortunate enough to have a bunch of cool players around me, and they've all been super, open to teaching me how things go and stuff, and it's awesome.
Yeah. So I've heard you described as, because you come kind of from a family of musicians, right? I mean, it's fair to say you're a third generation singer-songwriter?
Yeah, that's fair, yeah.
Okay. So do you think you would still, would you have naturally gravitated to music regardless of the family roots in it? Or do you think that plays a huge part in you playing now?
I don't know, because it definitely plays a huge part in why I do music right now, but I was always encouraged by my family to kind of pursue whatever I was passionate about. So even before music, I was into fly fishing. I'm still super into fly fishing, and kind of like that's how I express myself, just through like tying flies and going fishing and like being outside. And so that actually kind of led to me getting into like Americana music and singer-songwriter stuff, because I'd watch all these like fishing documentaries, and like they'd be cool soundtracks in the back, and I was like, that's awesome. And then like kind of get into that style of music, and then got into a band called Camp and started learning some of their stuff, and just started slowly writing songs. So how I got into it was pretty natural, but I think my family obviously played a role.
Still played a part in it, right?
Like it had to have.
So being still kind of fresh to the songwriting process, do you have like a set songwriting process, or does it just come to you as it comes?
It's getting different as I'm trying to write songs now. Usually it was, I'd write a melody first on the guitar, and just do chord progressions, and then whatever, I would kind of write to whatever I thought that chord progression needed. And then that was kind of how the whole first record was written. And then now it's more like, okay, I'm coming up with words in my head, and I'll try and make something to it, and it's just kind of changing, so it's different for every song.
Right. Do you pull from life experience or things that you're surrounded by, or stuff that just sounds good?
I think it just depends. The first record kind of just randomly happened. It was I wasn't aware of the storyline that went along with it. I was just writing these songs, and then I realized that all of them were connected with like my experiences in the past 4 years, and it was like, oh, that's cool. So I think like subconsciously my experiences definitely go into my songwriting and stuff.
And that debut album, that's called The Game, right?
Yeah,
that's an amazing album. I'll tell you about my 2 favorite songs on there here in a little bit. And that was produced by Charlie Sexton.
Yeah.
So do you know him just as a family friend? That's how you've always known him?
Yeah, so Charlie was always around when I was growing up, and he was
he's a cool guy to have around when you're growing up.
Amazing, yeah.
Yeah, I know him from the shop, but I've kind of grown up in the shop myself, so I've known him for a long time, and yeah, he definitely exudes rock and roll to like a certain extent.
It's crazy what he can do on a guitar, and just musical person in general. It's insane.
Okay, so I'm a bit all over the place here. I'm gonna have to jump back. So we talked to Continental was kind of one of your first big shows, and did it just go really well and kind of got you to keep going back there?
Yeah, well, it was just fun, and Steve Wertheimer has been great throughout this whole year of just like keeping me on that stage and trying to get me stage time to get comfortable and have like develop a presence and stuff and figure out things. So really grateful for him and everything that he's done for me, and it's been really good. But yeah, the first show was just fun, and I guess it went well enough where he was like, just
you're gonna come back and do it again. That's awesome. What's your best experience there? Do you have one that stands out?
I'm trying to think. I like going to shows there and watching different acts and seeing what they're doing. It's just it's this cool. I grew up in Austin, and growing up here, in high school, like going to like music venues and stuff is like it wasn't really like the thing to do as a high schooler. You're not going to the Continental Club or like C-Boys. Well, also you're underage, you can't. But playing it and stuff and seeing that side of Austin and like how entangled the whole music world is in Austin is kind of crazy to me, and that's like, so I just love going there and seeing shows and seeing other musicians.
Okay, so then to Lollapalooza, opening up for Lollapalooza in Chicago, that's got to be pretty massive.
That was fun, yeah.
How did that come about? Who brought that opportunity to you?
So that was just through my agency, and it was just an opportunity that came about pretty shortly after ACL.
Okay.
Brought the band out there, and it was actually funny. So the band, we had a show canceled about a week before, or maybe 2 weeks before, for COVID reasons. But then so that we were like already traveling and it got canceled. And in Chicago, the band's flight I flew before them, and then they flew after, and their whole plane got delayed, and they got in at like 5:30 in the morning. For the show, and then everyone was just like tired playing that set, and it was just like it was still super fun.
Like low energy kind of.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Was that your first time in Chicago?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is also crazy. Like that town's crazy.
Yeah. Have you traveled much before that, or was that kind of one of your first big travels?
That's like, I want to say like the 3rd or 4th time I've played out of state.
Wow.
And it was cool. Chicago's a cool town.
Yeah, I've never been. I've always wanted to go.
The lake right by the festival is like insane.
Yeah,
it's just like
was
the
it?
Ocean.
So ACL kind of got you, like, was your like starting point to go to Lollapalooza. How was the ACL show?
Terrifying. It was like, I was still trying to figure out how to, do stuff live and stuff, and if I didn't have, Charlie, help me out like immensely with the band and stuff, and really kind of just calm me down throughout the whole thing, I would have been very
mental
different.
Breakdown at some point.
Yeah.
1 or 2 of them. Man, that's so cool. Yeah, Charlie's the best. We were actually just talking about him like before this even started, and his son Marlon Sexton. He's great too. Do you run into him at all?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we always have shows booked pretty. We will not anymore because he's been on tour with Black Pistol Fire, but we've had shows booked at the Continental like backing each other up for a while.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, it's been
That's
funny.
awesome. So you're doing the Continental Club this week?
Yeah, with
Okay.
Briscoe.
Okay, sweet. And is that gonna continue to be a thing like in the future?
Yeah, so I'm gonna do. I think I have this show and then one more show this month and one more show next month at the Continental, and then I take a little break to do some one-off shows here and there, and then
Nice.
going into the studio hopefully again soon this winter.
Are you gonna be working on a new album?
Hopefully, we'll just see what happens. I'm
Yeah.
arranging the songs right now and trying to figure out if it's going to be an EP or another like big second project. So we'll just
Right.
see what happens.
That's awesome, man. That's really cool to hear. I'm happy that you're like doubling down on it. You know.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's totally been consuming, and
It's crazy because a lot of people when the lockdowns hit, a lot of people kind of took it as like just a break. You know,
Yeah.
stop doing stuff and hang out and kind of just relax. And so you definitely have to have like a natural fire inside of you to be like, well, I'm gonna write a whole album now.
Well, I think for me, it was that relaxation thing, kind of laying back, and it was like when I got into fishing, I didn't realize how much I loved it until 8 hours later I was still fishing.
You fly
And it
fish for
was-
trout or what?
Trout, really anything, bass,
Okay.
redfish down at the coast,
Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah.
But it was kind of the same thing with music, where I was like, I'm just playing in my room, and then 6 hours later, I'm just like, oh wow. And then all this time went by, and it was really productive, but it wasn't consciously being like, all right, I need to do this.
You didn't necessarily have like the set goal, the end
Yeah,
goal
yeah.
in mind
It
when you
kind of
started.
just happened, yeah.
That's probably the best way for it to go about. It's like to be natural like that.
Yeah, probably.
So the last kind of show that I wanted to talk about with you was South by Southwest.
Yeah.
This year you did that, and that went pretty well for you, right?
Yeah, that was a fun week. That was the most I've played in a week ever, and it was
Did you
awesome.
do shows every single day?
Yeah, just
No
about,
kidding.
yeah.
So what complications arose, and then what things like went really well for you?
Well, the first show, I was doing a show at Lambert's,
Oh wow, that place is awesome.
and I got a boot on my truck, and I had a show later that day at Scoot Inn, and it was just this whole deal.
Did you not pay for the parking or
No,
what?
I was like, it was like a 10 a.m. set time,
Yeah.
and I just parked there, and I was like, all right, it's a 45-minute set, I'll be good. And then I got back, there was a boot on my truck, and my drummer who parked right next to me didn't get a boot on, and he didn't pay either.
Really?
So it was just like, okay.
They just said
whatever.
fuck you. Is
Yeah,
what
literally.
happened. Yeah, that's crazy.
But-
So how'd you get to the next show?
We just loaded up everything in his truck and figured it out, but I just left my truck there for like 2 days.
Yeah.
I just didn't have time to get back to it.
Yeah, so that was at the start of the week, right?
Yeah, that was like the first show.
Oh wow,
I
yeah.
think so, yeah. So
That's it's always funny because I know like anytime I talk to a musician about some big show that they've done or some series of big shows that they've done, like there's complications.
Yeah.
And I always like kind of I don't like to hear about them, but I know they happen and I want to know like
Yeah.
like did it really set you back at all, or were you kind of just like whatever, this is how it goes?
It was kind of funny. Like
Yeah.
I was just like, if anything's gonna go bad, like this is great.
Yeah.
It's not like
That's cool.
it's not like my truck getting jacked the other week. Like stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the ability to be able to laugh it off is super important,
Yeah.
especially when you're on a stage and trying to entertain people.
Yeah, and it's like whatever.
Yeah,
It's like-
you can't entertain anyone if you're like pissed off, you know.
yeah. Well,
Unless-
you can. You can.
If you're like Andrew
that's
Tate,
your route.
maybe, yeah, then you can do it that way for
Exactly.
sure. But yeah, so that's cool. What went really well for South by? Just
It
like-
was just good getting like repetition and like understanding, that I could play that much like in that short amount of time. It was like made me really want to do like a tour and like back-to-back dates and stuff, and kind of just opened my mind up to like, all right, this is cool. Like I can do this and it'd be fun.
Yeah, that's awesome, and not feel like you're gonna like get burnt out super easy or anything like that.
Yeah, and also just meeting a bunch of musicians that like I wouldn't have otherwise met. It was just cool.
Yeah.
Just talking to people.
Yeah, it's like a networking thing,
Yeah.
half of it. So yeah, you kind of brought it up a little bit just now, but I'm curious, like, your music career is, I guess, 2.5 years up into it now. Not to like bring it down. I know there's one horrible thing that's happened to you in that time. Is that like the worst thing where your guitar got stolen out of your car?
I'm trying to think. I mean, yeah, that has to have been the worst thing.
Yeah, as far as like the music career goes.
Yeah.
Because besides that, it's been pretty great, it seems.
It's been really fun.
Mhm.
And
What was that guitar?
it was that Gibson, I think it was a J50 that I got from here.
Yeah. It's taken right out of your car, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
It
if
was-
anyone out there watching sees a Gibson J50,
Yeah.
Don't care if it's his or not. Just take it back for him.
Yeah.
We got to get that back to Calder.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man, that sucks. It was cool. It came, like silver lining. You got a pretty sweet guitar after that, though,
Yeah.
which was nice.
Yeah.
Are you a fan of Collings? Do you always play Collings?
I've played them before, but I've never
Mm-hmm.
had my own. And then after that guitar got stolen, I was just like, fuck it.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Might as well.
now it's like my baby.
Yeah, yeah, that thing was sweet, man. I
Yeah.
miss having it in here, but I know it's in a good home,
Yeah.
entertaining
Sure.
a lot of people. So I think your song Stone and the other song Good Times, are they both on the album The Game?
Yeah.
Okay, but did you release them as singles before?
Yeah, they were released as singles before. I think
Okay.
there were 3 or 4 singles released before. Yeah, 4 singles released
Okay.
before they were
Gotcha.
released.
I like both of them a lot. They have like different.
Totally different feels.
Yeah, completely different feels to them. Which one do you enjoy playing more? Do you have a favorite out of the two?
It just depends because like live too, they also sound differently. So like Stone, I don't have a violin player on stage with me most of the time, and so live it's more of like a rock and guitar track and stuff like that. And so
Yeah.
if I'm in that mood, that's fun. And then Good Times is also just like could be fun too. Just depending on what's going on.
Good Times is awesome. I was like listening to it while I was getting ready for this interview, and then I'm like hanging around here waiting to start it, and like kept catching myself singing the melody because that song is catchy. It's like
Well, that song was written in the studio.
was it?
Yeah, like it was like 2 a.m. and Charlie and Jacob Skiba, the head engineer over at Arlen, were comping some tracks from that day. And so I just go in the back big room and the lights are off and just start strumming the melody and kind of just like sang it. And I walked back in and I was like, guys, you have to hear this. And they're just like, fuck.
Yeah, because they're they're a little bit older.
home.
They're probably
Like,
tired as shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, let's go home. But no, it was ended
So
up
they
on the
stuck it out
record.
with you and kind of got.
Yeah, I ended up on the record, and it was
Yeah.
I wrote the song, and I went over to Charlie's house, and I was like something's missing, and we were like, yeah, why is this song so short? And he's like, well, you don't have a second verse, and I was like, hey,
Oh,
that would help.
Yeah, that definitely.
so
my song's a minute and a half. Awesome.
yeah.
What was missing with the song
Yeah,
here?
he's like, yeah, your verse, but so we finished it there.
Yeah, man, that song, it's cool that it was written, or started writing at 2 a.m. in a studio, because it does have that kind of like late night vibe to it,
Yeah, well, that whole studio experience was super inspiring to me. It was kind of just, I think like 3 of the songs that are on the record like happened in recording.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how about the music video for Good Times? What did you put that together like over a long period of time, or?
It kind of was scrambled pretty short notice, so it was just, I was just keep it simple. The song's about, memories growing up in Austin and stuff, and I was just like, all right, let's just make it just like a kind of wholesome, cheerful, fun video. And
Yeah.
so we just did that.
Yeah, because it goes perfectly with the song.
Yeah.
It's definitely necessary. Do you have a show that you can remember that you were the most nervous for?
ACL.
ACL?
Yeah, I was freaking out.
Yeah.
I was in the back, like, I called my brother over, and I was like, dude, I'm gonna faint. I'm like, this is not gonna happen. This is not gonna happen.
Yeah.
This was like the second weekend too, so I'd already done the first weekend. For some reason, I was way more freaked out the second weekend.
Really?
Yeah,
Interesting.
and I walk over to Calder Allen, who's my uncle, and he's my keyboard player, and I said, I'm like freaking out, and he's like, all right, well, let's just run through a song right now. Like, there was no one there. Maybe like 3 people just like trying to get out of the sun because we're in that big tent, and we just ran through a song and it completely calmed me down. He's like, dude, you already did a show. Like, there's just no one here. Just do it again.
Yeah.
And, like, just having the feel of the song on the stage was like all
That's
I needed
cool.
to be calmed down.
So, having the right people around you to keep you calm is pretty like necessary for doing shows, huh?
Yeah, well now I have this whole routine where I like, listen to songs I'm into and kind of like separate myself from like, the show and stuff, and focus into a different song and just kind of different place.
Yeah. When you came out at ACL, did you introduce your band? Or did you go straight to playing?
Well, I've had a very interesting year of introducing the band. So I introduced my guitar player as a bass player 3 times. I've put my drummer as a bass player before. It's all out of just like nerves. I have So there was this one South by San Jose, and Charlie came on. So I had 2 guitar players instead of 1, and it just freaked me out because I just do like, all right, Billy on guitar, boom, 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 and I go Billy on bass, Charlie on guitar, and it was just like happened multiple times. But that's just nerves. It's getting better. That's funny.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Just yelling out the names.
Yeah, I just say.
All right, let's play music.
Everything is wrong.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Just turn it into a bit. That's all you need to do.
Yeah.
Own it.
We got Elmo's lead singer today.
Yeah.
I saw that you opened a show for Bob Schnider before.
Yeah, over at Copeland Dance Hall.
Okay, did you know him before that, or was that your first time meeting him?
Yeah, I grew up with him being around. He's really good friends with my family and stuff. And
Sweet.
Yeah.
I didn't meet him. The first time I saw Bob Schnider play live was at the Saxon Pub.
Awesome.
Right down here, and my dad took me to the show, and I think I was in like 6th or 7th grade, so I was 12 or 13.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I ever, like, I remember halfway through the show, he stopped playing music and he was just like messing around and like basically was telling the crowd like proper blowjob etiquette. And like I was 12 or 13 at the time, and it was the coolest thing I'd ever heard, like in my life.
Well, he walked up to me after my set and he's like, soon you'll be at the point in your career where you'll write songs about shitting yourself. And I was like, okay.
He just kind of has that like.
It's awesome.
Yeah, that energy about him,
Yeah,
like
awesome.
Truly, I don't care kind of deal.
That's what it should be,
For sure, that's what's entertaining about watching him on stage.
Yeah.
Do you were you encouraged watching him on stage and like kind of like maybe I should take that route a little bit and like help you loosen up?
It's just fun just seeing different people's process and stuff. I've always kind of liked seeing, lifestyles and how people interpret the same kind of craft and kind of make it completely different to what anyone else is doing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of fun.
All right, couple more questions here. The first one being Austin. You grew up in Austin, right?
Yeah.
And it's very a music-centric city.
Mm-hmm.
If you weren't in Austin playing live music, where do you think you would be?
Interesting question. Probably Montana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, hell yeah.
I was going to go to school there
Mm-hmm.
and then ended up dropping out to pursue music.
Yeah.
But that's where I would be if I was in Austin.
It's a beautiful state, isn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah. My oldest brother went there. I haven't ever been there, but I've heard amazing things.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it seems like a good place to be creative. But you just can't beat like the live music scene here.
Yeah.
It's
And
tough.
like also, Austin's cool because you 15 minutes you can just be in the greenbelt away from everyone.
Yeah.
It's also, still super close to the city and stuff.
Do you ever go there to write or anything like that?
I have.
Mm-hmm.
I don't say I do it a lot.
Yeah.
I write in really random places and random times. Like voice memos is awesome.
So how do you keep yourself grounded after you do these like larger stages at the age you're at? Because when you're young like we are, it's really easy to get that ego inflated.
That's true. I think, just in the family I grew up in and just seeing my grandfather's approach to life and his craft and art and stuff, and also just being thinking about it like, I'm hands down the worst player on stage when I'm on stage. So it's like, I'm really not doing anything crazy. I'm like, I look up to, Billy Cassis, who's my guitar player, and John Michael, who's my bass player, and just think about, what they can do on the instruments and stuff, and kind of just, the whole time I'm playing, I'm also just listening to what they're doing, and I'm like, this is awesome, like, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then kind of, it's at the end of the day, nothing I'm talking about is really about, it's never about me or anything, it's just, I write these songs and stuff and want them to be said, and they exist, and that's the point. That's my whole thing.
Yeah, that's incredible. It's cool because you got the world's worst interviewer and now you got the world's worst guitar player on stage right next to each other. But in all seriousness,
the 3-chord machine.
Yeah. In all seriousness, though, like to give you your flowers, you do have to have a certain skill level or at least like a certain thing about you to be playing those stages. So it's it shows itself. I've seen some of your performances online, and they're absolutely great. So
I appreciate it.
You got something going for you, no
Nice.
doubt. So for the next part of the show, it's like kind of rapid fire questions.
Awesome.
I'll give you like this or that or whatever. The first one, this is brand new. I'm a huge fan of this one.
boy.
Scott came up with this one.
Oh boy.
Fight or flight?
Depends. Fight.
Yeah? What would it depend on?
I mean, if
How big the other guy is?
it's like if they have a knife or gun. It's
Okay,
like,
yeah.
It's like if they have a knife, I'm booking.
100%. Have you ever seen fights break out when you're on stage?
No, luckily I don't do like insane like rowdy music. So like I don't like have like rallies happening at my. I'm not like Co Wetzel. Or it's like So it's.
That makes it, your music is a little bit more like keep the peace.
Yeah, keep the peace.
I went to go see a rapper play in Dallas once, and when he walked on stage, literally 3 fights broke out. Like in
it's insane, and they're super fun to go to. They're super fun. It's everyone's always laughs at me because I love going to like EDM shows at festivals. And like, why? I'm like, this is awesome. I'm like, everyone's like jumping up and down.
It's just like testosterone out the ass.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, it's good stuff. All right, cool. Are you and I think I figured this one out through the interview. Are you a night owl or a morning person?
I can be both, but mostly a night owl.
Yeah.
I also fish, so I have to wake up early a lot.
Oh, for the fishing,
but like,
right?
It just depends.
Yeah.
Naturally night owl.
Makes sense. Let's say you're like hanging out after a show or whatever. E-cigs are a new thing, but like the OG cigarettes. Would you rather the people around you be smoking cigarettes or e-cigs?
Cigarettes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
do the real thing, man.
Yeah. Gotcha. I fucking hate e-cigs.
I don't smoke.
Don't get me wrong. E-cigs are the worst, man.
There's no judgment either way. I don't use either, so
Yeah. What about like a nice cigar? You ever had like a nice cigar?
Yeah, I've had a cigar before.
Yeah, and this, by the way, we filmed this before they changed the law to 21 for tobacco, so you're good. It is 21 now. You have to be 21.
Are you serious?
Yeah, you have to be 21 for tobacco these days.
Yeah.
But we filmed this before that, so he's like totally in the clear.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no worries. We got him, boys. Bring in the SWAT team.
This isn't incriminating evidence.
There's an undercover cop in the back.
Exactly.
Look through the window.
Yeah. South Austin music. It's actually Snitch Austin music.
Yeah, exactly.
Would you rather have a penthouse in any city, whatever city, the nicest penthouse, or a ranch in any state? Yeah, I figured that much.
Hands down, yeah.
What would you have on your ranch? Like the whole nine, the horses, the ponies.
Oh yeah.
If
I could, like, why not? Yeah.
Yeah,
Go all out.
of course. Okay, would you rather get bit by a snake or a spider?
Snake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
I just think it'd be cooler.
That's true.
It's just like you're like. In today's day, it's like hard to die from both. Like, you can go get anti-venom, so it's like it'd be cool to say you got bit by a snake.
Yeah, because if you say I got bit by a spider, it's kind of like, oh, a little insect gotcha.
Yeah.
What are you gonna
I
do?
mean, if the snake gets you, if they get the antivenom in time.
Yeah, I think in a real situation, if they were right next to me, I'd choose a spider. But since we're not in that situation, I could say snake.
Yeah. You know what's messed up is my whole life I grew up thinking that if a rattlesnake bit you, you have like 2 hours to get the antivenom.
Yeah.
And that was like kind of worrisome. It's like 2 or 3 days. Like you have a lot of time.
Yeah, well, my friend.
That's what I said. I was like, dude, I thought this was so much more scary than it was.
My friend, we were at school and he skipped class to go fish, and got bit by a water moccasin.
Oh.
And didn't think it was venomous, and goes back to class and he's like chilling next to me. He's like, dude, I got bit by a snake. And I'm like, what? And his whole face turned purple like mid class.
Holy shit.
And he started coughing up blood and like it was bad. Like he had to get like 7 anti-venom shots for it to work because of how long he waited. It was like really scary.
Do not skip school, kids.
Yeah.
You might die.
Stay in school.
Would you rather live through the 80s or the 90s?
Ooh. 80s.
80s?
Yeah, I don't know why.
80s seem a little bit like I don't know. Well, and also if you live through the 80s, you're probably going to see a good amount of the 90s too, you know? But I always think it's funny because like 70s was like really like psychedelic centric, you know?
Yeah.
Right? The 60s, 70s.
And 60s into 70s.
Yeah. And then like the 80s, like cocaine was like everywhere, right? And then like our generation is like, give it all. Like we want all of it, you know?
I'll do a line and some shrooms and let's have a good time.
Now it's like how far can we go until we don't die?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
There's fentanyl everywhere.
Yes. Oh, it's so fucked up, man.
It's so bad.
But I always find that hilarious that like you have like the one generation that was like pretty exclusive to that, and then the one exclusive, and then we're just like give us both.
Yeah,
we
it's
don't
like,
care. All right, yeah, drugs are fun. Anyways, okay, if you could be a professional at anything, what would it be? Outside of music.
Fly fishing.
Fly fishing.
I was gonna be a fly fishing guide. I still plan on doing that at some point.
Yeah.
Like my dream would be, go on tour for 5 months, be a fly fishing guide for 6 months out of the year, and then work on music for that month off.
Yeah.
That would be like the dream.
That's
like my goal.
Yeah, that's a sweet lifestyle right there. Where's your favorite place to go fly fishing?
You know, I never really have a good answer, so I've always just said like the furthest away from people.
Yeah.
Because I fish everywhere and like everywhere I go, and so it's, as you know, the best fishing is the further you are from pressure and stuff, and also you get the best experience.
Yeah, that's sweet. Okay, so real quick, because like in the experience that I have with fly fishing can be super fucking frustrating. With the line
It
getting
can be
everywhere.
really bad. Yeah.
Do you like freak out sometimes in the middle of a river where you're just like fuck?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, okay. But it's just part of it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Frustrations are.
I wanted to make sure I wasn't the only one, because
No, it happens.
Yeah. In my experience, that was probably 70% of my time fly fishing is spent cursing and being angry.
Well, it's like learning in Austin's also a tricky place to learn if you're like
Yeah.
doing it in creeks and stuff, because you don't really have space to cast.
And
You
so
have to,
much, like,
learn how to like
low-hanging
do like
trees.
weird stuff. Yeah, it's fun.
Okay. Let's see. Would you rather road trip or take a flight?
Road trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get to see more. It takes more time.
Yeah, I grew up just my dad and I always doing big road trips and stuff, so I just love it.
That's sweet. Okay, you got to get rid of one: Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok.
TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thought it
I
was
don't even
gonna
have
be
to. I
Facebook.
don't even have TikTok.
Really?
Mm-mm.
Man.
I refuse to do it.
You're a unicorn out here.
Don't
You
wanna do
you
it.
got you should get someone to start putting up clips of you on stage on TikTok though.
I've thought about that. I thought like I would be morally okay
Uh-huh.
with like not having an account and having like
Somewhere.
just people posting stuff on it, but it's
Yeah.
just like for me it just is completely the opposite of what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
like-
I see. I
It's
see.
like pay attention to what the song is and stuff, and
Uh-huh.
not 15 seconds of
Yeah.
some reverbed out vocal. That's just like gets like a billion views.
Yeah.
All for them. There's no shame for that, but it's not my thing.
Uh-huh,
I
I
have
hear
respect for however people want to do it. But
Yeah,
it's
for
not my
sure.
deal.
For sure. Yeah, it's cool to like want to stick to like a more natural way of getting the name out there.
Yeah, I have to catch myself because everyone's like, "Oh, you hater." I'm like, "No, not at all. It's just not what I do."
Yeah, of course.
It's not, I don't want to.
Yeah, you don't have to do something to not hate it.
Yeah.
Would you rather do a big venue or a small venue?
Solo acoustic small venue.
Yeah.
Band big venue.
Nice. That's a good answer. Okay. Would you rather be the first person alive or the last?
First, hands down.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I feel like the last would just be, like, if you're the last person alive, something really bad happened. And, like, you have to like live with that. The first one, it's like you might accidentally eat a berry and die. It's like kind of more.
Yeah.
It's more like, all right, but.
But is it cooler to say you're the last one standing or the first one there?
I don't know.
Which one's cooler?
I don't know.
Because I get what you're saying. You do have to see something awful happen if you're the last person alive. That's pretty much inevitable.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I think they're both different. I think you're definitely dumber if you're the first to die.
Yeah, you're the test
If
dummy.
you're last, you're doing something right.
Yeah, you're what's the I Am Legend guy? You're like Will Smith and I Am Legend out there.
Yeah.
Okay, last one here. What's your favorite conspiracy theory?
Oh Lord. I genuinely think like social media and all that stuff was made to distract humans from reality.
Yeah.
I don't even think that's like that far off of a conspiracy.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I
that's
think you're pretty far on.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate.
That's pretty accurate. Okay, cool. Is that like a known theory, or did you just come up with that on your own?
I don't know. I feel like it's pretty known.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if you're paying attention and you have somewhat of an IQ, you can figure that out.
Yeah.
Because it's like my generation and even people younger than me, I mean, we're so desensitized to like tragedies and like stuff
Yeah.
going on. It's like literally 2 days after Ukraine, no one was talking about it anymore.
Yeah.
At my age group, at least, it was
Mhm.
just like, all right, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
it's just kind of crazy.
Yeah, shit happens.
Yeah, it's like tragedy. It's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So whatever.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, what's that doing to our mental state? you
Yeah,
know?
it's not. Yeah.
Definitely messing us up in some way.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Calder, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show today.
Thanks. It
And
was fun.
I'm really excited to see what left you do with your career. It's had like a really cool start, and I can't wait to see where it goes.
Yeah, me too.
It was a lot of
So
fun.
awesome.
Thank you so much, Calder.
Yeah, man.
And if we can get you to stay and do a performance.
Yeah, can I tune one of these to a different tuning?
Yeah,
That's cool.
absolutely, you got it.
That's
Man.
good.
just pray. Tears flowing down like a fountain. So I've got nothing left to say. Going down my road, traveling high and low. Freedom falling, freedom go. Just trying to find my way home. Now I'm stuck in this goddamn rodeo. Crying out, do I go east or west? Wheels are returning, but there's no tread. Just trying to get this off my chest, yeah, so I can roll on ahead. Going down my road, traveling high and low. Freedom falling, freedom go. Just trying to find my way home. Now I'm stuck in this goddamn rodeo. Going down my road, traveling high and low. Freedom falling, freedom go. Just trying to find my way home. Now I'm stuck in this goddamn rodeo.
Yeah.
Weird ending.